Chapter 1. The Ultrasound. Cheryl poked her head into my office. "Abby, they need an extra person back in the exam room. Are you free?" I looked up from my paperwork, surprised. Sure. Though I'd been with Planned Parenthood for 8 years, I had never been called into the exam room to help the medical team during an abortion, and I had no idea why I was needed now. Nurse practitioners were the ones who assisted in abortions, not the other clinic staff. As director of this clinic in Bryan, Texas, I was able to fill in for any position in a pinch, except, of course, for doctors or nurses performing medical procedures. I had, on a few occasions, agreed at a patient's request to stay with her and even hold her hand during the procedure, but only when I had been the counselor who'd worked with her during intake and counseling. That was not the case today. So why did they need me? Today's visiting abortionist had been here at the Bryan Clinic only 2 or 3 times before. He had a private abortion practice about 100 miles away. When I talked with him about the job several weeks before, he had explained that at his own facility, he did only ultrasound-guided abortions, the abortion procedure with the least risk of complications for the woman. Because this method allows the doctor to see exactly what is going on inside the uterus, there is less chance of perforating the uterine wall, one of the risks of abortion. I respected that about him. The more that could be done to keep women safe and healthy, the better, as far as I was concerned. However, I'd explained to him that this practice wasn't the protocol at our clinic. He understood and said he'd follow our typical procedures, though we agreed he'd be free to use the ultrasound if he felt a particular situation warranted it. To my knowledge, we'd never done ultrasound-guided abortions at our facility. We did abortions only every other Saturday, and the assigned goal from our Planned Parenthood affiliate was to perform 25 to 35 procedures on those days. We would like to wrap them up by around 2 p.m. Our typical procedure took about 10 minutes, but an ultrasound added about 5 minutes, and when you're trying to schedule up to 35 abortions in a day, those extra minutes add up. I felt a moment's reluctance outside the exam room. I never liked entering this room during an abortion procedure. Never welcomed what happened behind this door. But since we all had to be ready at any time to pitch in and get the job done, I pushed the door open and stepped in. The patient was already sedated, still conscious but groggy, the doctor's brilliant light beaming down on her. She was in position, the instruments were laid out neatly on the tray next to the doctor, and the nurse practitioner was positioning the ultrasound machine next to the operating table. "I'm going to perform an ultrasound-guided abortion on this patient. I need you to hold the ultrasound probe," the doctor explained. As I took the ultrasound probe in my hand and adjusted the settings on the machine, I argued with myself. I don't want to be here. I don't want to take part in an abortion. No, wrong attitude. I needed to psych myself up for this task. I took a deep breath and tried to tune into the music from the radio playing softly in the background. It's a good learning experience. I've never seen an ultrasound-guided abortion before, I told myself. Maybe this will help me when I counsel women. I'll learn firsthand about this safer procedure. Besides, it will be over in just a few minutes. I could not have imagined how the next 10 minutes would shake the foundation of my values and change the course of my life. I had occasionally performed diagnostic ultrasounds for clients before. It was one of the services we offered to confirm pregnancies and estimate how far along they were. The familiarity of preparing for an ultrasound soothed my uneasiness at being in this room. I applied the lubricant to the patient's belly, then maneuvered the ultrasound probe until her uterus was displayed on the screen, and adjusted the probe's position to capture the image of the fetus. I was expecting to see what I had seen in past ultrasounds. Usually, depending on how far along the pregnancy was and how the fetus was turned, I'd first see a leg, or the head, or some partial image of the torso, and would need to maneuver a bit to get the best possible image. But this time, the image was complete. I could see the entire, perfect profile of a baby, just like Grace at 12 weeks, I thought. Surprised, remembering my very first peek at my daughter, 3 years before, snuggled securely inside my womb. The image now before me looked the same, only clearer, sharper. The details startled me. I could clearly see the profile of the head, both arms, legs, and even tiny fingers and toes. Perfect. And just that quickly, the fluttering of the warm memory of Grace was replaced with a surge of anxiety. What am I about to see? My stomach tightened. I don't want to watch what is about to happen.